Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stormworks, and in this one, we are starting a new project. So, yep, finally, we are onto a new big bad project. This is the boat I was kind of talking to you guys. If you keep up with some of the other series, this is what we were talking about. So, in today's episode, we're going to be working on the hull. We'll be talking about it a little bit, some of the future plans, that kind of thing. I'm going to try to get pretty much all of the hull done as well as the superstructures. So, this video is probably going to be mostly time-lapse, guys, but yeah, this is the new build. It's going to be a frigate, and yeah, we're gonna kind of just go from there. So I'm gonna start as I always do. We're gonna start shaping out the bow and kind of get the width where we want it and the front pointed like we want it, and then we will move towards the back. We'll get the back kind of set up, and then later on, towards the later half of the episode, we'll start doing a little bit of the superstructure. And when I say a little bit, probably a little bit more than a little bit, but yeah, this ship is probably going to be a pretty complicated one. Now, I'm not going to make it absolutely massive. It is a frigate, so we don't need to go crazy size, but I do want to make it a pretty good size ship. I do have some pretty fun plans for it, so we're going to arm this thing to the absolute teeth. And obviously you guys will kind of see that down the road and whatnot. Usually, if you guys are new to the channel, usually I try to stay a little bit ahead on these builds so you guys can follow a schedule. Now, I know you missed a video last week, but I did that on purpose, kind of in the middle of some lifestyle changes right now, which is pretty cool, and all kind of good things, nothing too bad. So dealing with that, as well as I just finished up the AWACS, so kind of just giving myself a day. And yeah, we're back with it. We're back in Stormworks. We're building about, and I know I'm kind of rambling at this point, but you know, I would assume a lot of you probably aren't super new to the game. So, you know, we've built plenty of hulls around here before. If you guys want, I can try to do an actual just hull building tutorial. Now, I'm not super happy with how this hull looks currently, but it'll change quite a bit. I think it ends up looking a lot better than it currently does. So you guys will kind of see, but I'm going to spawn it in real quick, kind of get a frame of reference for the size and see how I like it. And yeah, I think that this is not too bad. So we're going to just kind of go from here. And if we need to, we can get the copy paste tool out later and start moving stuff around. Now, I know I said this is going to be a frigate, and like most of my builds, this is going to be a rather modern build, so we're not going to really do anything to scale here. This is just going to be kind of a fun project. Think of it more as like a little battleship. That's kind of what I'm going for here, and since we're limited on size here in Stormworks, or at least I try to keep myself limited by size in Stormworks, that is kind of what we're going with. So obviously we can't build real scale battleships, so we're just gonna, you know, build something that kind of resembles like a patrol boat, and we'll call it a battleship. But when I say we're gonna arm this thing, I mean it. So currently, obviously I'm not done with this project, but I'm a lot further ahead, and I jumped into the guns a little earlier. So I can tell you confidently right now it has as the main gun is 2 artillery guns that are on an auto loader. Then in the rear we have 2 MLRS systems, and that has 12 rocket launchers, I believe. It's either 12 or 9 each. And then we have on each side of the ship we have a dual heavy autocannon, and then we will have 4 light autocannons on all corners of the ship that have 2 guns on them each. So this thing's gonna have a lot of weapons on it, and believe me, we're gonna have some other fun little things that we're gonna cram into it. Now, I thought about doing missiles. I know everybody likes missiles. Missiles are fun, you guys are right, but they're kind of tricky, and they take up a lot of space, and I didn't basically I don't really have a better way of saying it. I guess it's kind of an excuse. You can call me out on it if you want. But basically, I didn't plan on having missiles in this thing from the get-go. And with something like that, you kind of need to know that you're going to be doing that a lot earlier on, so you can kind of plan room into the superstructure and the hull and that kind of thing. And I didn't do that. So, you know, it's a little late for missiles now. There's a couple places that we can maybe throw them, but that's all conversation for later. Obviously, when this thing's a little bit more put together, you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about instead of me just babbling on about while I place blocks in the background. And speaking of which, we've moved on to the hull, or the stern, and basically this I do these similar usually. In the sterns of my ship aren't necessarily super accurate, but in Stormworks it's a little weird anyways. So basically what I usually do is I try to kind of start angling them up, and that way I can get the propeller up into the hull, especially with my warships, and that way it's a lot harder to damage the propeller. This also can help if you do it correctly. It can help with the ship jumping out of the water. The placement of your propeller does kind of change that a lot in this game, so that's kind of something to think about. But for right now, I'm just curving this back. We're going to leave this gap in the middle, and then we'll make kind of a sloping kind of cutout section for a propeller. And I think I'm going to go with two. Definitely two. We're gonna go with two medium pitchable propellers, I believe. Now, I played around with the idea of water jets, like you guys can see, but I think we have a little bit too much ship for that. Now, if we had a larger water jet, maybe, or like a modular water jet, now that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think we have a little bit too much ship for that. It would be cool, but I think we'll just stick with normal propellers. If we really need to later, we can switch over and towards the front and maybe put a bow thruster in. I still have room for that if we really need it, but I think with the variable pitch propellers and some handy clutch work, you can kind of make them do reverse and change speed and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we can get this thing handling pretty well. And obviously I don't have a lot of that kind of stuff set up yet, but that's kind of the thought process with this. So yeah, we're just gonna play it by ear, really, and it's something that we can kind of fix later on if we need to. But yeah, I'm just shaping out the back section here. This is where our props are going to sit. Now, realistically, I'd probably want to have this be a little taller back here, just so we have a little bit more room for our props. But I'm trying to keep them pretty low in the water, and there's also two back here, and I don't really like that the pitchable props are different sizes, but it's just part of the game, so we got to work around it. And that's if we were just using the normal giant propeller or huge or whatever, I don't know what they're called, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. At least I hope so. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. But anyways, they're different sizes, so it makes it a little tricky. And I really do want to use the pitchable props. So we're going to do our best to do that. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm just going to pop these out a little bit. And I think that kind of adds some fun little shapes back there. Not necessarily super realistic, but definitely kind of makes it look a little bit nicer. Now, unfortunately, I come down here and I wanted to curve this around a little bit more, and I wanted to go with the 1x2s, but that didn't really fit in because we were on an odd number of slope blocks for the 2x4 blocks. Again, I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of just babbling at this point, really. But anyways, that's kind of what we're working on. So I'm just trying to smooth the hull out a little bit more, and this thing's going to be double hulled all the way around. So I'm just trying to kind of play with some shapes down here and make it look a little bit better. And we're just going to take this 1x4 and we're going to follow it all the way up. And that is looking honestly decent enough for me. I don't know if we're going to necessarily need both of these layers down here. We might just bring these out and they can kind of just follow the hull a little bit towards the front. Kind of a goofy shape we're working with, but I don't really dislike it. I think it's kind of cool, something a little different. So what we got to do next is obviously we got to polish it up a little bit. There's still a little bit of work to do, but we're going to play around a lot with the weight blocks. Now, lately, this is something that I maybe get a little too into, but I'm going to try to make this look really nice. First, I'm just going to add a keel, though. A nice little weight block keel always helps. We'll go ahead and seal this off, and then, we will start adding weight blocks. But first, let's spawn it in. Let's check it out. Let's see where it's sitting in the water, how it kind of looks, what we're thinking with the hull. And you can see it's nice and big in here, but it's definitely not the biggest ship you can make in the default workbench. So we've definitely got some room to spare, which is nice. And I will admit that it does get a little bit longer, and I do that just to kind of even out the helipad later on. But yeah, you guys will see that later on in another episode, obviously. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead. We're going to get some paint blocks or some weight blocks down here. I'm going to do my best to kind of make it look fun and interesting. And I always try to do that, or at least lately I've been doing that a little bit more. But this one definitely takes the cake. You guys will see towards the end. The weight blocks, we put the weight blocks everywhere, but it ends up looking really good, really symmetrical, and it gets our center of gravity much lower where we want it. And that's basically the entire point of this, really. So we're just going to follow this back and keep doing that. But I'm going to, for once, I'm going to quit rambling. I'm trying to talk a little bit more in this video, but I'm going to quit rambling. I'm going to throw the time lapse on a little bit and have some music going. And I'm just going to let this build roll out a little bit, guys, and we will speak in a few minutes. All right, well, we're in the next clip of footage there. I'm sure you guys saw the cut. But anyways, we are playing around with some shapes. We're working on the superstructure. Now, I don't know if we're going to get it all done in this episode, but definitely we'll get a good chunk of it done. Just kind of keep in mind with me, guys, that a lot of this will probably change as we go. Now, I am kind of just playing around with shapes. So I had this kind of vision in my head of this bridge kind of designed after like Star Wars, I guess, is basically the best way I could put it. Like when you see the scenes in the Star Destroyers, kind of how they have the bridge in, when I say the bridge, I mean it two different ways. So up in the bridge, they have a bridge like the structural thing running through the center towards the front, and then they have lower platforms on each side that the kind of captain or whoever's in charge can kind of look down over. Now, I wanted to do that. That was the main one of the main inspirations. The other really big main inspiration, the other huge part of the kind of why it's shaped like this, why it looks like this, is this hangar in the center. Now, originally I wanted to put planes in this hangar, as goofy as that sounded. I wanted to put like little plane drones and that kind of thing, but that did not work out. And for better or worse, whatever, it just didn't work out. So I switched it over. We have 2 rib boats in there, and you guys will kind of see me put those in later on. Obviously, again, I'm a lot further ahead than this right now, but yeah, we put 2 ribs in there, and they're really easy to get in and out. So I kind of like that idea, honestly, a little bit more. It's a little bit more useful in Stormworks, other than a plane that is, nearly impossible to recover. Now, I'm playing around with this walkway that wraps around the bridge, and I brought it down, but I think that it's just a little too much going on. So I think we'll probably definitely change that on. And I think it'll probably be better if we just don't have that little sloping down section. But enough of that. We'll worry about that a little bit later. A lot of things about this bridge really are going to change anyways, which it'll be kind of cool, especially if you watch these videos in close succession. You'll kind of see how much it really changes as I build it. Now, one of the big things that you'll notice as we build the ship, or if you paid attention in the thumbnail, is that the windows that I'm building right now are kind of set up right against the front of the superstructure, and that's not how it ends up looking. So there's actually a wraparound little walkway. So that walkway we were just working on actually is going to go forward, and it's going to go around the front of the ship. And so I pull all of this, basically the entire bridge section, I pull all of it back 4 or 5 blocks so we can make room for a path up there, and it ends up looking actually really, really cool. So far I'm really excited with how this thing looks, so hopefully you guys are too. I've been having a blast building this ship, but it's starting to get to the point where it's time to really get into the nitty gritty with the details, and that is the part where the progress really starts to slow down. Now I enjoy it all. I really do enjoy the blocks, but we're starting to get to the point where it's going to be a lot more screens and logic and paint blocks and just kind of stuff that slows you down, and that's okay. I enjoy doing all that stuff, but it does make the progress kind of a lot slower and kind of harder to show off for you guys. But yeah, anyways, I've been talking a lot more in this episode. I want to see if that's, something that you guys kind of dig more. So if that's something you're into, let me know down below in the comments. And if not, we can keep rolling around and, putting time lapses in with music and that kind of thing. But for the meantime, yeah, I'm just trying to talk a little bit more on this one. So just kind of let me know what you guys know down below, or think down below. Also, if you guys have any crazy, fun, cool ideas for what to build or what to put on this thing, let me know down below too. I'm still pretty early in the building stage. We've got a lot of interior room we got to fill up. And if there's any special features you'd like to see, I'm all ears. So let me know in the comments. Definitely check out our Discord too if you haven't. I'm sure most of you have at this point. So thank you so much. We've grown quite a big little, I guess, fun way to put it, a big little Discord community, and lots of really good people over there. So shout out all of you guys. Sometimes I like to hop in the Discord and kind of hang out, play with you guys. So there's a good chunk of you guys I know. So shout out to you all for kind of just showing your support, watching the videos, all of that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be doing it if you guys didn't watch the videos and didn't like the builds and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, enough of that. We'll quit. We'll quit rambling once again. I've been doing that a lot this episode, but yeah, I think it's good. I've been really enjoying this ship, but we do have another build in the background that we're gonna, obviously finish soon. The oil rig isn't gonna last forever, so we got to figure out what we're doing with that. And after that, I don't know what we're gonna be building. Now I'm thinking about maybe doing an oil tanker, but that would be 2 ships at a time. And I know a lot of people like to see a little bit more variety than that, but I like the ships. I like to think I'm a little bit better at the ships than anything else. But anyways, if you guys have any build projects or, silly little things that you want to see me build, definitely let me know, because we'll have another slot basically in the schedule coming up. As soon as the oil rig's done, we're going to have to figure out another thing to build. And I mentioned this in other episodes, but basically I always like to have a couple or at least 2 series going on at once for you guys to watch. That way you're not just getting kind of bombarded with the same video. Or the same series, not the same video, but the same series over and over and over. Especially if we're being honest, you guys might not be into everything I'm building, and that's all right. There's no issues with that. But it's personally, if you were on my YouTube feed and you were kind of spamming out videos left and right of something I didn't care, I would start to get annoyed. So a little bit of variety, I think, is a little bit better. And, that also gives me the option to kind of work on things as I please a little bit more too, which I think is good for kind of the longevity and the stability and that kind of, those kind of important things in trying to consistently make things and give you guys videos and whatnot. I think that's important to not, really get burnt out or anything like that. But again, we're just kind of talking while blocks are getting flown around in the background. So this is all, like I said earlier, subject to change. This will all change quite a bit. So, take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. We got most of this bridge kind of placed, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of funny looking back at it, really, because some of the build steps that we went through, I didn't even realize that was something that I did. So it's kind of funny to go back and check out these, earlier videos of a build that I've had saved up in my hard drive for a long time, just because I don't remember doing this. And that's not what it looks like right now, so I can't tell you when it changes, but I'm not going to go through all of my footage to tell you, and we'll get to it when we get to it. But it definitely changes, and it changes for the better, believe me. Right now we've got a little bit too much going on in my mind, but other than that, I mean, like I said, I've been really excited to build this thing. It's just really, really fun. And I haven't ever really built just a dedicated kind of warship. Oh God, I'm sorry guys. That is my fault. But I haven't really built a dedicated warship before. And I have built weaponized warships, or not warships, just ships. And I mean, you could call a carrier a warship, but it's not like, going into a battle gunslinging warship. And that's kind of what I want. I want something that is really, really fun and packs a punch. And in my classic style, I'll probably make it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, and that's all right. And as long as it's fun to use and not too complicated for you guys, then that is what I'm going for. So if it can hit those marks, then we are happy. We're good to go. But that's kind of what we got planned for this. I also don't really have a name for it right now, so I've just been calling it the Frigate. And if you guys have any good name suggestions, again, I'm open to suggestions. But as far as what we've got going on back here, so this will all change quite a bit. I'm glad we're getting rid of that horrible railing finally. So we're going to extend this like this. Maybe we can work out like a slope or something down here, make it look a little bit better. But we're going to keep those doors on the side of the hangar, and then this entire superstructure is going to extend back, and we're going to have a traditional kind of hangar with a helipad towards the aft end of the ship, and just kind of like you would see on a lot of military vessels, just your standard one helicopter helipad and hangar, and nothing too much fancier than that. We'll get into the engines, and that's a good fun. This thing ends up being really, really fast. It's only going to be a 3-cylinder, 2 3-cylinder engines, and I think it goes 50 knots, which in that, guys, keep in mind, is fully loaded with weapons, infinite fuel off, infinite electric off, and this thing is double hulled and has weight blocks throughout the entire hull to make it a little bit beefier and stronger. So 50 knots on 6 cylinders is not bad, and it's running at a low RPS, so we'll take it. But I think that is just about all we have for today's episode. So, your 3 times weekly Al rant is sadly coming to an end. But that's pretty much all the building we're gonna get done in today's episode. We're gonna do a little bit more here in the bridge, but guys, that's pretty much all I got. And if you stay to the end, thank you so much. Let me know what you think about the me kind of talking more in the videos. Definitely would like to hear you guys' feedback on that. But if you guys like this series, definitely leave a like down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. We've got plenty more of these videos to come out. We'll get it on the workshop, obviously, once we're done with it. And I'm pretty excited for this build, and I hope you guys are excited for this build. I know a lot of you like the ships and you like the weapons, so why not do both at the same time? But thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.